Welcome to another fresh edition of Law of Attraction with Hajia, Aisha, Ahman Pategi. This is an edition where we try to feature a lot of motivational talks and try to inspire you to do great things in life. And of course, we try to review some of the books that have been blessing to Hajia, Aisha, Ahman Pategi. And these books are also being recommended for you to read and practice. And we'll be taking a look at Law of Attraction, Having Money in Abundance. We focus on science of getting rich by D. Wattles. And of course, she also doubles as the Honorable Commissioner for Special Duty, talking about Hajia, Aisha, Ahman Pategi. She is a citizen entrepreneur and in a way also bless a lot of youths out there. You're welcome to another edition.
Thank you.
Let's start from here, man. How will you define wealth?
It's to have the right to nature's abundance. In a nutshell, when you define wealth, the average man thinks of money. But wealth in itself is to have the right to all that nature has gifted man. In essence, health is part of wealth. Having a happy home, not just a house, is wealth. That defines wealth. It's a collective gift that comes together to make wealth, which when you break it down, the spiritual aspect of man has to come in. The material world as well has to come in, which is, when you talk about the mind, body and soul, you can't deny one aspect of that and still have fulfillment, and when you break it down, even in any law you go into or religious books, spirituality, it talks about man ensuring to be in the middle part, which is always practice the law of average. Don't be too extreme to this side and extreme to that side, which equals right back to having to make sure that, in the physical aspect of you is satisfied to a certain, level. The spiritual aspect of it at the same time, it's also having to be taken care of to a certain level.
There must be a balance.
There must be a balance, and when you have that balance, key thing you thrive for is that happiness, that inner peace. And so when you have that, encompassing, collectively, you are at that point. I can consider a man to be wealthy, because for as long as you have all that you need in life. If I want to buy a house and I have what it takes to exchange for that, or if I want to get food, I have what it takes to exchange for that. Because if you go back to the history of money, you're talking about trade by barter. So in real essence, that's why I'm defining wealth from my little understanding, especially from reading The Science of Getting Rich. It makes me understand that, Wallace D. Walters is emphasizing on, look, the science of getting rich, it's like 1 + 1 = 2. If you plant, I'll go back to apple seed, you're going to get an apple tree and the fruit of apple. But of course, in essence, he's also saying, look, it's not so much you paying more attention to wanting to get rich from the competitive level, but when you do it for yourself, not in the selfish aspect of it, you will have more to live as nature has ordained for you to live, which means you should have enough to live harmoniously even with nature itself.
Okay. So, does a man background determine his success in life?
To some certain degree it does. And I'll go back to, you take Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his generation, when you go trace it all the way back, you trace it all the way back to Abraham. And if you take Jesus Christ, if you take his generation, you trace it all the way back to Abraham. So the reason why I said that, to a certain degree, it's that it is every man's right to even be successful. That's how nature has ordained it, because each and every one of us traces right back to Abraham. Right?
Yeah.
So which means
you have that generation.
We are all from that generation. Then that means it's all our right it determines that. That means we all have a right to be rich, as Wattles talks about it, and so that's why I said that. Once you understand it from that aspect, all you have to do is learn the key strategy, the law that takes you to having abundance.
That attracts you to abundance. Now, must you be in tandem with what's in vogue to achieve success, or going against the tide helps?
Going against the tide is not the quote unquote advisable. You will end up, nature is stronger than you. So when you talk about the tides, you in essence are talking about nature, but also you have to be cautious about understanding from that aspect. For as long as you stand with the part of truth, which is the part of nature, that means you're not going against the tides. So if every man stands against you, that's not against the tides. And that's why the saying goes, if God be with me,
you can be against me.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, it's we should understand it from that perspective. The tides is nature, not man. So for as long as you align yourself with nature's law.
This generation, talking about the generation of technology. Now, do you think people that do not go along with technology can be successful in this generation?
Absolutely, you still can. It talks about D. Wattles talks about nothing is monopolized in that aspect. Yes, monopoly can be, but then you don't even get too many channels to wealth. When you think about everything, even technology today is as a result of what was before.
It's an advancement.
Yes, an advancement. What was before. And life, it's a circle. We get back to a point where we need to go back to the original source of it. So that time will come when the old becomes the new,
and the new becomes
the old. So the reason why I said that is, if you look at it now, there is a lot of advocacy going on in regards to organic food. You know, technology has advanced man to a point where we are doing our best to feed the world, because we're now heading to about 8 billion population. And if you look back, the world was less than 1 billion. So it was easy to farm organic food. We had enough, you know, but all of a sudden we've engineered so many, technologically, biodegradable, food and whatnot, all in the quest for man to feed the world. And then at the same time now, the organic aspect of nature, it's now even more expensive. So the key thing, the key thing the science of getting rich is talking about, it doesn't matter what you decide to go with. The key thing is ensure that you do it effectively, excellently.
Can we see opportunity in life is monopolized? Like, okay, some people in telecom already, I think it's just for them. I don't want to go into telecom. Can we see opportunity is monopolized?
No.
Okay.
But that does not mean some opportunities aren't already monopolized.
Okay.
Like if you take Aliko Dangote. If I want to go into the same kind of business like he is now, which is like, let's take cement, for example. He started with sugar, and that was quite monopolized in Nigeria. And most people that tried to get into that business at that point in time couldn't make it. And then he went into cement. It doesn't mean you can never get into it, but it's going to be harder coming into it initially, than a business that there's less competition, in essence, However, you can, that's what, the science of getting rich is talking about. Like, look, yes, why not start something even that no one is in there? Less competition, more creativity, innovate. And so no opportunity is monopolized. However, there are certain things that are already ahead of you, and there is more that nature needs or humanity needs. So create and come up with things that it's not even yet out there.
And from there you could just make your money and skate through. Okay, let's talk about passion and talent now. How can one use passion and talent to create wealth?
I found it interesting that I just read Ego is the Enemy.
Okay.
By Ray Holidays, and it made me understand how, yes, we need passion, but in the process of the passion that we have so strong, the enemy, the ego gets in the way. And so it's kind of made me think deeper. When you take the likes of Thomas Edison, with the invention of the electric bulb, and then you take the likes of Nikola Tesla. He invented the AC unit, and he was an employee of Thomas Edison. And then, when I watched The Man Who Built America, and yes, Thomas Edison is one of our, great inventors of all times. But when you look at the kind of race to put it out, yes, to humanity, but at the same time, for the competitive level of wealth that was going to be generated from it, with partnering with JP Morgan and all of that. But when it came to Nikola Tesla, he ended up even tearing his contract of royalty for life. And his key goal was for humanity to benefit. When I read his biography, it inspired me so much to understand that it's not so we confuse talent and passion to be more of something competitive, to put things out there. I want to do this by all means. I want to put it out by all means. There's that kind of force that goes with it. But people that have created things for the sake of humanity are even men and women that we don't even hear much about. And that is what in Islam you call real Sadaka, which is when you give out without even nobody knowing. It's a greater level of Sadaka than one which is being done for show. So that is where I am, on my level of understanding, and remember that nothing I say today or anybody has said today that cannot change. We have to remember that we have to, in life, always be on a level where we have to unlearn and then learn again. Unlearn and learn it. That's life for you. So at this level of understanding for me, I've come to understand, yes, we all have talent in us. Nature has created us to have that. But we have to work the extra mile to develop the talent. There is nothing any man is doing today that I cannot do, for as long as I put the extra effort in wanting to do it. The reason why is man itself is just a vessel. And so every expression in life, it's of the source of one, the oneness.
Now, D. Wattles believe the science of getting rich is doing things in a certain way. Do you share this thought?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Without having to do things in a certain way, like I said again, there's no way you can get the actual result. Like 1 + 1, equals 2. But if I say to you 1 + 3 equals 2, it's like, you know what I mean? So it's a science. It is a science. At the same time, it's an art. And that's why you always have to practice the law of average in everything you do. You can't be too extreme to this, to that. When you take the combination of this and this and you put it together in average proportion, you get better result, and that's life for you. Even nature has created it so. Don't be too extreme to this side or too extreme to the other side. To live life as much as you can, as abundantly, as best as you could.
How powerful our thoughts are. Will thinking like a billionaire without personal action brings wealth?
No. The physical aspect of life comes about with thought first. So if it's not been thought about, it will not come to the physical. But thought has to be done also. You don't just think without you have to have organizational skill when it comes to thinking. Thinking itself is an art, and that's where we talk about science and then art. Imagination, the law of imagination, if you imagine it, it comes to pass. Because the moment you're able to think it through, imagine it and see it, visualize it, it picks up in the subconscious, it connects to the superconscious, and it engineers the right people to come together and get it done. And so, which means nature will propel you to act in that way as well, to actually bring it in the physical. And so your duty as a vessel is to have that intention even. That's why God has given us the will. Every man, no man can take away another man's will, because that it's a gift given by nature to every man. No matter what you do, you can never take a man's will away. Right?
Yeah.
So once you understand it from that perspective, you now have that 100% faith that whatever it is that you need or you want, it shall come to pass. Right? But then it goes further to tell you that the actions you're to take is not so much the hard work of action that it is, but like in today's entrepreneurship world, we talk about work smart, which means it equals right back to your physical aspect in terms of exercise, in terms of the kind of food you ingest in your system, health, all that. Because if the body is sick, how are you going to be able to get up and even go to the farm? Yes, you want to produce certain things, but there's still going to have to be some kind of action on your part. Like in Hausa, they say tashim, nte makeka, which means get up and, Allah, take the first step, and then, the rest will be effortlessly done.
Now, let's look at this. The most successful people on earth are into business. What are the basic tools needed to make money and be successful?
We say the richest people in the world not successful. The reason why I said that is there are a lot of rich people that are not successful. Success, when you think about it, you're thinking about a man who has a happy home, a man who's at peace with himself. Like I gave an example of Nikola Tesla. He died not the richest man in the world, but then he gave humanity up to today what has evolved to even technology. So, riches, the richest men in the world or women in the world are not the most successful people in the world. It depends on, you can still be the richest man in the world and still be considered the successful. And I will say the likes of Warren Buffett, these are successful rich men. And there are some rich men that are not successful, in the sense that when you go back deeper into their biography or how they're living life, I mean, what would it be a man who is rich but never even gets a sound sleep? Or who doesn't even have a wife or, a home, shall I put it that way? You don't necessarily have to even, be married, but that's part of the enjoyment of life, to have that companionship. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can still have a companionship without, but then it goes right back to, where our religion, it's if you're not married and you're keeping a partner, then where are you able to meet your sexuality? So there's a thin line, to look at all this. I take the likes of Bill Gates. When you take the likes of Bill Gates, these are people that dish out so much of what they even make back to humanity. They live a very simple life. They're not living the average life of, having to have all the most expensive clothes in the world and all of it. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. And if it makes you happy, so be it. But I'm just saying it doesn't mean because you're the richest person in the world that you're successful. There are people that have wealth in abundance, but then they're not happy. And I think pursuit of happiness is actually the ultimate goal of every man in life.
Some people believe society and government policy can determine who gets rich. How true is this?
To a certain degree, yes, it does. It does. If you take a country like United States of America, it has created an enabling environment for any man or woman who wants to tap into the limitless possibility to do anything you want. To a certain degree, America has definitely created that enabling environment for its citizens. If I come back to Nigeria, I think that is where it's a big, shall I say, a huge gap. Most people, if you look at it, even the richest people in Nigeria have to align with the government. They have to align with the government. But we as a people can change that. And that is where governance comes in. That is where the power of your, democracy comes in. That is where the power of your vote comes in. That is where the average citizen needs to be educated to understand that you have the power. If today I am the president of Nigeria, you have the power to recall me. You have the power, which you don't even have to wait for election to recall me back. But the average citizen of Nigeria don't even understand that. And these are the kind of advocacy that we need to really put out to educate the average voter to understand that if you're House of Assembly member or House of Rep member, it's not doing what they're supposed to do, you have a right, you need a certain number of signature, and you recall them back and you put the right person that will be your voice. And if a House of Rep member or senator is to stand, he's speaking for you. So even if there is any kind of bill or a debate going on, you as a community can come together and send a message to tell your representative that this is what we want, and he has to say that. He is not to say what he wants. And one of the reasons why democracy in Nigeria is still in its infancy is because if I'm voted in office and I stand and I just speak and I've not even liaised with my people to truly know what it is that they want, I'm supposed to be speaking for them. I'm not supposed to be speaking for me. So this is very important for us to really start getting more educated and awareness to understand that in order for us to change the narratives in this country, we are responsible for that. It's not who we voted for that is responsible to do it. When you vote someone in office, he is your servant.
He's supposed to serve.
He's serving you, so you determine what he does. It doesn't matter even if you're a governor or I've said it, name it, governor, senator, even the president. The president is serving the people. The people aren't serving the president. The governor is serving the people. So whatever, and that's the power of social media today. Yes, there's a lot of information on social media that, of course, I also had a bit of it recently that isn't true. But we need to pay more attention, as a nation in using social media to our advantage. And if you look at it, we have youth bulge, and the youth need to and they're so Nigerian youth are extremely intelligent. All they need is to be given that enabling environment, a little bit of guidance to inspire them to tap into their limitless possibility. When I engage with youth in Nigeria, I'm like, oh my goodness, you are even more intelligent than I am. But then when you take an average youth in America, you take Kylie Jenner, for example, a simple, opportunity. She used the power of social media. She's a billionaire today. An average Nigerian youth that is even more intelligent than she is, or a young, beautiful girl who is even more beautiful than she is, they have all the ideas and, they're ready. But then they don't even have that enabling environment, to be able to do that. In America today, I can wake up as I speak to you, log on online, and I can create my company in less than 10 minutes. If I can wake up and establish my business and, pay, what it takes, and it goes straight back to the government has money to make it easier for me. And then when I do these things, it's easier for you to keep track of me, to pay my taxes, because if the government isn't getting funds back in their coffers, how are they going to be able to give it back to the society if we're not paying our taxes? No matter how minute your business is, if you're paying some kind of your contribution towards taxes, the government gets that back, and then that's what it equals right back to the roads that we're looking for. If you take an example of the stimulus, the social programming we do in Nigeria, it's like money that goes down the drain consistently. I'm saying this going right back to the science of getting rich. Doing things in a certain way. You see what it's saying? When you do things in a certain way, you get that result. It's a plus for us to do social programming. It's a plus for us to stimulate the economy. But that money has to come back to the coffers of the government. Because if it doesn't come back, then we're empty.
On the use of thoughts and action to create wealth and attract money in abundance.
For the man and woman out there who wants to make money in abundance, I say to you, it is your right to make that money. Just like Wallace D. Wattles says, it is every man or woman's right to riches. For you to do that first is to acquire the knowledge that it takes for you to create wealth for yourself in abundance. And when it talks about you creating wealth for yourself, it's not talking about you being selfish. It's talking about you having to be able to, when you make the more of yourself, you will inspire the next person to also want to do that, and that would lead for the person to come and find out from you, how did you do it, especially when you do it on the creative level of life. And so I will encourage everyone out there who is listening today to get The Science of Getting Rich. This is a book that I recommend highly recommend for anyone who wants to be successful in life, who wants to be rich beyond your wildest imagination. And I'm blessed to have my brother here, where we hope this will continue to be a once a month program. You can call in. I've partnered with ASAP Foundation, which is Ahmadu Sadona Ahman Pategi Foundation, and their focus is to create a circle of receiving in order for you to be able to give, you know, and to create billionaires. You know, the goal for the foundation is to create 10% of our nation's citizen towards becoming billionaires. And you know, billionaires world. This inspired you know, the foundation, you know, as you know, Sadaka Ahman Pategi, he lived his life, may he so rest in peace, as one who has inspired me to always pay more attention towards human capital development. Because once you're able to develop another, you teach him, you know, like in Nigeria we say, teach a man how to fish, you know. When you do that, yeah, imagine if in like my own local government I have like 5 billionaires. You know, the way I look at it is at least those 5 billionaires will come together and get the roads, going for us. They'll ensure that there's clean water for our people. So it also eases on the government, you know, and of course they will have to pay their taxes, you know, so those are things. Even if they don't do it as an individual, they will have to still do it somehow by giving money back to the government. And I'm also going to say this, that one person that I learned, it has inspired myself as well, is our former president Obasanjo. I learned that as a president he wanted to create billionaires, you know, and the likes of we have the likes of Adenuga today as a result of that. And Femi Atadala, even though Femi too is coming from a background of a rich boy, but these are entrepreneurs that we have in Nigeria that we're proud of today. And then of course, and then we have the richest African woman as well. And all this is as a result of a leader having a vision. He didn't have to do much. But look at it today. This is something we need to really laud him for, to be honest with you. And then today we're proud to say, the richest man in Africa is Aliko Dangote. He's from Nigeria. This is the vision that our president had, and these are the kind of things that our youths need to start understanding. A man having a vision, he had the vision. And he went on a mission for it. He's not one of the richest men in the world today, but he has left a legacy for us to laud, to appreciate, and to learn from. So this is what I mean by let's keep up with our work. Hopefully we can have a strong book club. We would love to have feedback, on this, and thank you very much. I'm always available for more discussion. I'm here to also learn, as I read every day. I'm learning every day, and I can pick up a perspective from what I read, and you can pick another perspective. So this is the essence of us having this discussion. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, it's a wrap on the Law of Attraction edition with Hajia Aisha Ahman Pategi. And today we're going to focus on the book Signs of Getting Rich by Wattles. And of course, our social media platform will be on the screen, so that in case you want to join our book club, you can be part of it. And also the number to reach us. Of course, as she has said, we want to create billionaires. And of course, that is the vision of Hajia Aisha Ahman Pategi with the ASA Foundation, that is on board. All right, it's a wrap on today's edition. Please stay out of trouble.